Today's lesson is going through the Arithmetic Paper 1 from the Manchester Grammar Exam 2013 paper. The children have 30 minutes to do this in an exam. Okay, first question. So first few of these, I'm just going to go through quickly so that you know the best way to do them. Okay, writing the first number should be easy. So we have 212,000. So 212, comma, and 57. Make sure you put the 0 in there for 57. Oh, already my screen's not working. Hang on. Okay, there we go. So the screen is back. So 212,057. Make sure no one was losing any marks there. Work out 675 minus 428. Should be using column method there. Borrow from the 7. And 6 take away 2 is 4. 6 take away 4 is 2. So 2, 4, 7. Work out 254 times 80. Anyone know the quickest way of doing that? I don't want you to do the whole thing in column, using the column method. Any suggestions?
254 times 8.
Yes, so do 254 times 8 and then add the 0. Getting a little bit squished here. 2, carry the 3. 5 times 8 is 40, add the 3, carry the 4. 2 times 8 is 16, add the 4 is 20, and then we'll add a 0 to that because it was 80 and not 8. So 2, 3. There we go. Okay, write 0.28 as a fraction in its simplest form. This 8 is in the hundredths column. So the 2 is in the tenths column, the 8 is in the hundredths column. Sorry, my phone's going off. The 8 is in the hundredths column. So as the last number is in the hundredths column, we put this whole number over 100. So we do 28 over 100. But then we need to simplify. Both 28 and 100 divide by 4. So if I do 28 divided by 4, I get 7, and 100 divided by 4 is 25. I will slow down in a second, guys, but I just wanted to go over the first few quite quickly, because hopefully you're okay with those. Okay, the product of the sum of 6 and 3. So what is the product of the sum of 6 and 3? With the difference between 2 and 10. What is the product of the sum of 6 and 3 with the difference between 2 and 10? Do read over, make sure we've got grasp this. What's someone trying to say?
Oh no, I was just wondering if I could ask a question, because
Yes. You can, go on.
When it says the product, does it mean like 6 times 3?
Yeah, I was just going to say, does anyone know what product means? So it says the product, so product does mean times. However, this is a little more complicated than just doing the product of 6 and 3. So what is the product of the sum of 6 and 3 with the difference between 2 and 10? So you're actually going to find those two numbers before you do any multiplication. So can you mute yourselves because I can hear some background noise. We can all hear it. Thank you. Okay, so the sum of 6 and 3 is 9. The difference between 2 and 10 is 8. And the question actually wants the product of those numbers. So we do 9 times 8. And then we get 72. That question, the maths itself isn't hard, but the instructions are complex. I think that's deliberate. So maybe just reread the question a couple of times before you do anything to make sure that you've fully understood what's required. So there's no point in rushing in and then doing the wrong thing. Okay, so they're starting to get a little complicated now, so we'll slow down a bit. In a triangle, 2 angles are the same, and the third angle is 3 times bigger than either of the others. What is the size of the biggest angle? Okay, what do the angles in a triangle add up to? Can someone tell me quickly?
180.
180. Yeah, so 180.
180.
Guys, whoever said that, we already knew. They'd given it to us, but yes, I'm glad you know. Okay, so two angles are the same, and the third angle is 3 times bigger. So what we're going to do is use ratio. So we do the first angle, the second angle, and the third angle. And let's do that ratio. So that adds up to 5, but it should add up to 180. Okay, can you just work out 180 divided by 5 quickly for me? Just whoever says the answer, and then we'll assume that. Okay, so 180 by 5. 34?
Yeah.
30.
36?
30.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking 34.
36.
34 gets you 170, I believe, so just be careful. Okay, so times 36, and then we times everything by 36. 36 times 3, just for speeding up the calculator, is 108. Someone needs to mute themselves, please. Lots of background noise. Okay. Thank you. And then 36. Now, let's check that that all makes sense in terms of the original question. So, is this third angle 3 times bigger than these? So 36 times 3, it should be. Okay, it's bigger than this. And have we got 2 angles that are equal? Yes. And now let's add them all up and check that they add to 180. So 36, 36, 108 gives us 180. So we're fine. We've met all the criteria that were set out in the original question. So what is the size of the biggest angle? Biggest angle is going to be 108. Mute yourselves, please. I can hear someone rustling there. Okay, 108 is the biggest angle. All right. Hang on one second. Okay. Neil thinks of a number. He halves it and then subtracts 9. If the answer he gets is 12, what was the original number he thought of? I would recommend drawing a quick number machine. So Neil thinks of a number, he halves it, so I'll put divide by 2, that's the operation. He then subtracts 9, and the answer he gets is 12. So now all we have to do is work from the end and do everything backwards. So 12, I'll do plus 9, because I'm doing the opposite. 12 plus 9 is 21. 21 times 2 is 42. So the answer is 42. For the next one, why don't I give you all like 30 seconds to try the next one, so number 8 on your own. So John the electrician needs to cut 3 lengths of wire from the 5-meter roll he has brought with him to do a job. The 3 lengths he cuts are 85 centimeters, 2.5 meters, and 650 millimeters. How much wire in centimeters will he have left after cutting off his lengths? We've underlined the numbers. Can you just try and work that out for me, kids? And then we'll do it on the board. Actually, for this one, why don't you put the answer in the chat when you've got it, so I know when people have finished. But send it just to me. Okay, sorry, missed answers there. Okay, I haven't got the correct answer yet, actually. Oh, actually, no, sorry, I have. Jessica, you gave me the correct answer. Well done, and you were first. All right, let's have a look, because we're getting loads of different answers here. Okay, so clearly we need to be careful with measurements. So first thing that I would recommend is converting all of the measurements into centimetres. If we keep everything, okay, good, Thomas and Emily, we're getting some correct answers. Thomas, you shared it with everyone. Okay, if we have everything in different units of measure, we're going to get confused. So I think centimetres is the easiest one to use. So 5 meters is 500 centimetres. We'll come back to that later. Oh no, my screen's not sharing again. Okay, so 85 centimetres, that's fine. 2.5 meters, there are 100 centimetres in a metre. So we have to times this by 100, times by 100, move the decimal point twice, we get 250 centimetres. And then there are 10 millimetres in a centimetre. So to convert 650 millimetres into centimetres, we divide by 10. Now, if you weren't sure whether to divide or multiply, I would recommend writing the conversion over the top. So, you know, 10 millimetres equals 1 centimetre. We've put our millimetres from the question underneath, and then we can put an arrow in. 10 to 1 divides by 10, so we know we have to divide this by 10 as well. So 650 millimetres is equal to 65 centimetres. Now we would add those up to see how much he uses. Do 85 plus 250 plus 65, which is 400 centimetres. And then take 400 from the original 500 centimetres, and we get 100 centimetres as the answer. Now, before I put that in this box, I need to check quickly whether they wanted the answer in metres or centimetres or even millimetres. They want it in centimetres, so I can just put 100 in there. Be careful next when you're doing this sort of thing in future, because if they had metres there and you put 100 in, then you'd have done all the work correctly and then still got it wrong. So that's not much good. We don't want to waste your time like that. Okay, question 9. Let's have a think about this one. Again, I'll give you a chance to have a think about what you think we should do first. So, my digital watch is set to show time according to the 24-hour clock. It is currently showing 21:10, so that's 9:10 p.m. for anyone that's wondering. How long will it be until it next shows a time with the digits 2, 1, 1, and 0, but in any order? So have a think about the earliest time there that it would be showing, and then after that we'll work out the how long will it be. But it's important that first we figure out what time the clock would show when it uses these digits next. Okay, so you can submit the time you think it would show in chat. Don't give me the time difference yet, please. You might want to try out some numbers and then see if you can do a time earlier than that. Okay. Okay, pause there for a second. I just want to discuss some of the answers I'm getting, because I can see why you've got those answers, but we need to analyze them a little bit. Okay, so pause for a second for me, please. Okay, someone has suggested 12:01 as the next time. Now, remember this said it was the 24-hour clock. So would 12:01 be 12 a.m. or 12 p.m.? Can someone just unmute and tell me? 12:01, is that a.m. or p.m.?
PM?
PM. PM.
PM.
AM, so midnight, would be 00.01. Oh, it's not showing again. Okay, so 12:01 is PM, which means that's quite a while after 9 PM-ish. So there are probably going to be some times that come before that. So you've got to know your 24-hour time here. Now, someone suggested 10:12, so that would be in the morning. Remember, because it's the 24-hour clock, 10:12 at night would be 22:12. So again, 10:12, we need to see if we can come up with anything earlier than that. And yet, a few of you have got the time for me now. The earliest time, the next time that it would use those numbers would be 0, 1, and then 12. So you now need to figure out how long it is until that time. So 21:10, I like to use a timeline when I'm doing these things. Remember, you can't use column subtraction for this. You're going to get the wrong answer if you do that. So timeline's much safer. Okay, let's go from 21:10 to 1:10. How many hours is that? Keeping the minutes the same and just doing the hours for a second. So it's 9:10 to 1:10, essentially. How many hours between those? Not 5 hours. So I think, okay, yeah, Poppy, you've got it. So 4 hours. If you're not sure, you can do it on your fingers. So 9 to 10 is 1 hour, 11, 12, 1 o'clock. So 4 hours. There's no shame in using your fingers to work out something like this because we just want to make sure you are correct. Okay, and then 1:10 to 1:12, the time we're trying to get to, is 2 minutes. So the time taken is 4 hours and 2 minutes. With a question like that, don't forget to reread it before putting down your answer because you need to make sure that you've answered all parts of the question. I bet you some people in an exam would put down 1 hour, 12 minutes as their final answer because they haven't checked the requirements of the question properly. Okay, this next question, I know not all of you have done in class, so I'm actually going to start it on the board without you working it out on paper. So we've got 2 shirts and 3 tops cost £29. I'm going to write a little equation to represent that. So 2 shirts and 3 tops cost £29. 3 shirts and 1 top cost £19. Again, I'm going to use a little equation to help me. What is the cost of a top? This is tricky. What I need to do is either have the same number of shirts or the same number of tops, but I don't have that right now. So I am going to multiply this equation by 3. Actually, I think, now how can I copy this over? I could do with a little more room to figure this out. 2 shirts and 3 tops equals 29. 3 shirts plus the top equals 19. That's right, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. I'm going to multiply the second equation by 3 so that I have the same number of tops in this equation and in this one. So if I multiply everything by 3, absolutely everything, I get 9 shirts, 3 tops equals 57. That's just 19 times 3. And I keep the first equation the same. So 2s plus 3t equals 29. Now that the number of tops is the same, I know that any difference in the price must be due to the extra shirts that we have. Okay, so the difference in the price is £28. So I'm actually taking one equation away from the other. I'll show you. I don't want to get too caught up in the algebra, but I'll show you how to do it. Okay, so take one from the other. I get 7 shirts, no tops, equals £28. So from there, I can figure out the cost of one shirt, these are cheap shirts, and the cost of a top. Can you do that for me? The cost of the top, by the way, I'll have to use this information to figure out. So take a second and see if you can get the cost of the shirt and the cost of the top. Yes, okay. That's good. So yeah, I think most of you got the cost of the shirt there, and then the tops. Okay, good. Starting to get the cost of the top as well. So for anyone that's confused, if the shirt costs £4, I can put the information in here to figure it out. So 2 shirts cost £8 then, and 3 t-shirts, or 3 tops, sorry, cost 29. So together that's 29, which means this must be 21. So 3t equals 21, and therefore t equals 7. Now for some of you, I know I'll have gone through that a little bit too quickly because you haven't done this before, but we shall find some examples for you and do that in class soon if you haven't done it before. Okay, let's go back to the questions and see what they asked us. They wanted the cost of a top, so that would be £7. So if anyone is watching this recording later, definitely try and find some more questions like that so that you can practice this at home. Okay, work out 2.35 times 1.8. Hopefully you know that when we multiply decimals, we ignore the decimal points and then put them in at the end. So you'll do 235 times 18. Why don't you just work that out quickly for me? I think we've just about got time for us to do this. Okay, good. We're getting some right answers in. So when you multiply those numbers, you get 4230, and I've got 3 numbers behind the decimal points in the question. So I put 3 numbers behind the decimal point in the answer. So your answer should be 4.23. And I did just check at the end that this wasn't supposed to be in pounds or anything. It wasn't, so 4.23 is the answer. I've left off the 0 at the end because it doesn't really need to be there. I'd imagine you'd still get the mark if you put that with the 0, but it's neater and better to try and avoid it. Okay. Work out 15% of £5. I'm just going to show you this one. So the way you can do percentages, there are lots of different ways that people do it, is so 100% is £5. If I want 1%, divide by 100. So £5 divided by 100. I would put the decimal point in here and then move it on paper just to be really sure that I don't mess up the decimal places. So I'm going to just draw that over here for you to see. So 1, 2, decimal point, put the 0 in the gap, that 0 in the gap. So 1% is 0.05 pounds or 5 pence. Make sure you get that right and don't write 50 pence accidentally. So 1% is 5p. Then 15%, we just times by 15 on both sides. 5 times 15, work it out on paper when you're doing this on your own. but it's 75p. And I'm also just going to have a quick look at the original question to make sure my answer seems sensible. 15% of £5. Now I know 10% is easy to figure out because we just divide by 10. So 10% would be 50p. So I'd expect 15% to be just a little higher. So 75p sounds like a sensible answer to me. It's good to check those things as well, because if you got something like £7.50, then when you look back at the question, you'll realize £7.50 isn't a sensible answer to 15% of 5. And again, we have to check the units of measurement here. It was in pence. So if you put 0.75 because you're working in pounds, you'd have got the answer wrong because it clearly says pence there. Okay. Work out 3/4 of 5/6 of 48. So divide by 6 to find 1/6, and then times that by 5. Actually, I should put my arch. Times that answer by 5. So 48 divided by 6 is 8, times 5 is 40. Now jot down the answer you get to that before you start figuring out the other fraction, just to keep everything straight in your mind. Okay, and then 3/4, we divide by 4, which is 10, times by 3, and we get 30. Just don't forget with fractions, you divide by the denominator and then multiply by the numerator. Divide by the denominator. Okay, volume of a cuboid. So a cuboid is a 3D rectangle. It will be, let's see if I can draw a little cuboid. Something like that. How do you find the volume of a cuboid? Can someone unmute and tell me quickly?
Length times width times height.
Okay. Yes, length times width times height. So the volume of this cuboid would be found by doing 20 times 16 times 9. Okay, 20 times 16 times 9 is 2880. I'll be honest, I really should read the question completely before I do any calculations. Okay, the other weight is 10 centimeters wide and 12 centimeters high. What is its length if the volume of a cuboid is given by length times width times height? Okay, so the volume of the other one, it's going to be equal to 2880. So 10 times 12 times something equals 2,880. There are two ways you could do this. You can multiply those and then divide this number by that answer. So 10 times 12 is 120, and then do 2,880 divided by 120. That, I would say, is the trickier way to do it. I would recommend doing 2,880 divided by 10, then doing that answer divided by 12 in order to get this missing number. So why don't you just do that quickly? 2,880 divided by 10, and then divide that answer by 12. Guys, make sure you are listening to the method here. I know some of these questions you can do on your own, but for some of them, I'd like us to discuss just the best way of doing it. So don't miss that part. Okay, good. So 288 divided by 12. I'll do it on the board just in case anyone's having trouble with that. So 12 into 2 goes 0. Join those up. 12 into 28 goes twice. Carry the 4. 12 into 48 is 4. So our final answer is indeed 24. Oh, hang on. No. Oh yes, we're fine. I was looking at the wrong answer on the answer sheet. I thought for some reason I've made a mistake. Okay, so the answer for that should be 24. Okay. On a wet week in Rusholme, the mean or average rainfall over the 5 days from Monday to Friday was 12 millimetres. On Monday, when the rain was heaviest, there was 22 millimetres, but on Friday, there was only 5 millimetres of rain. What was the mean rainfall on the other 3 days? This one is tough. I'm going to need some room. Okay. So we find the mean by adding all the numbers together and dividing by the number of numbers. Now, as this was over the course of 5 days, we know we must have divided by 5. So we added the numbers together, we divided by 5, and we got 12. So what did all of the days add up to? You want to send it in chat quickly?
60.
Okay, all that. 60. 60. Sorry, my screen went funny. Okay, so all of the days of rainfall added up to 60. On Monday, it was 22. On Friday, it was 5. We want to know how much rain fell over the other 3 days. So I'm going to take away 22 and take away 5. 60 take away 27 is 33 millimetres. So on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, the amount of rain in total was 33 millimetres. That's what they add up to. But it wants to know what the mean rainfall on the other 3 days was. How do I figure that part out? You can unmute. So the mean rainfall on the other 3 days.
33 divided by 3.
Yes, good. Thanks for the method there as well. So 33 divided by 3
That equals 11.
that equals 11, yes. Okay, back on mute, please. Okay, so our answer to that is 11. I am going to ask you a little extension question. Was the amount of rain on Monday above or below average? Very quiet. No one? Okay, so the rain on Monday was 22 millimetres. On average, they've got 12 millimetres of rain. So the rain on Monday was nearly double the average amount of rainfall. So they had a lot of rain on Monday, more than you would expect. So Monday, the rainfall was above average, significantly above. And on Friday, it was below average. It was less than half of the average, so half of what they might expect on a normal day. Okay, this next one. When I emptied my pockets recently, I found I had a mixture of 10p, 20p, 50p, and £1 coins. When I counted the value of all the coins, the total amount came to £7.20, and there was equal numbers of each coin. How many coins were there altogether? Okay. Carla, by the way, you've written below, but with a double L, which makes it bellow, which is appropriate because you did write it in all caps. So bellow is shouting. Below only has one L. Okay.
Oh, I just realised that.
Okay. All right, this question. So the total amount came to £7.20, and she had equal numbers of each coin in her bag. Now, we're going to use ratio for this, but we have to be careful about the amounts we're putting down. So my headers, just 10p, 20p, 50p, and £1 coins. I am going to write the total amount for each of those. Well, it's really just the amount in pence. So 10p, she had 10p, she had 20p, she had 50p, and she had 100p there. That adds up to £1.80. Okay, so if you made £1.80 with those coins, you would only have one £1, one 50p, one 20p, and one 10p. So we'd have equal numbers of all of the coins. So that adds up to £1.80, but we want it to add up to £7.20. So I put £7.20 underneath. And we now need to figure out how many times £1.80 goes in to £7.20. It's a little tricky. I would estimate at first and then check it with multiplying. So let's round £1.80 to £2. £2 times 5 is £10. It's too high. What about £2 times 4 is £8, which is near £7.20. So I would do £1.80 times 4, just quickly. And that gives us £7.20. That tells me, can I move this over? Oh, can't move that over the way I want to. There we go. That tells me we are timesing by 4. So do everything times by 4. So you get 400 pence. Remember, it's not 400 pounds. 50 times 4 is 200 pence. 20 times 4 is 80 pence. And 10 times 4 is 40 pence. That's how much we'd have to make £7.20. How many of each coin would we have then? And I actually didn't even need to do that row, I forgot. So how many of each coin do we have? Yeah, good, Jessica, well done. 4. We would need 4 of each coin in order to make £7.20. Now, I would recommend if you had time in an exam, just because that question was complicated, if you had extra time at the end, I would go back and just work it out from scratch with the 4. So like find how much you'd have of each with the 4, if you had 4 lots of them, and check that adds up to £7.20. It definitely should, because we've done the ratio, but that would be one that I would just double check just in case. Okay, how long we've got? Oh, we've not got long. Right, I am going to have a greater look at the next question, because unfortunately I couldn't find my notes before this class. So I'd written down the best way of doing it, and then I couldn't find them. So I'm going to have a think about the very best way of doing the next question. Can you guys work out number 18 in the meantime, please? Make sure you're systematic in finding the factors. I'm going to start writing them on screen as well. Okay, so hopefully you've got all those factors written down, and then I'm just going to add them on a calculator for speed. Can anyone tell me the, oh, I've missed something out. Can anyone tell me the quickest way to add those if you're doing it on paper?
Number bonds to 10.
Yes, good. Well done. I'm just checking whether I typed in all the numbers. No, I didn't. I missed out a number. Okay, so number bonds to 10. I do 18 and 12 makes 30. 36 and 24 makes 60. You can take your time with this though. 4 and 6 makes 10. 9 and 1 makes 10. 72 and 8 makes 80, and then 2 and 3 make 5. So you'd look for all those number bonds, write down the sums, and then add up these numbers to be quick and hopefully accurate. And you should get 195 pair. Then back to number 17, because I remembered the quickest way I could find of doing it. If anyone comes up with an alternative, I would love to know, but I think this is the best way. So first we have to figure out what's going on with this pattern. We have +1, +2, +3, +4. Okay, so we're adding 1 each time. And the best way I could find to do it was, so the first 3-digit number is going to be at least 100. So we know it's not going to be, like, we're not going to add 5, 6, and 7 and then get a 3-digit number because we're too far off. So I would add 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 together, and then add that to 12. I think that's going to be the quickest way. So 7 and 8 is 15, plus 5 is 20, 30, and then 9 and 6 is 15. Okay, so 12 add 45 is 57. And then you might want to do the same thing again. You can just see my mum there in the corner. Just come to get some books. Okay, so 57. And then let's do another set. So then maybe add 11, 12, 13, 14 together. I wouldn't go too far beyond that because we know 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 is 40. So we should be getting around 100 if we add 40 to 57. So 11 plus 12 plus 13 plus 14 is 50. 50 add 57 is 107. So our answer there, the first 3-digit number is 107. I know it's not going to be the number before that because we're adding more than 7 at this point. So that will be the first one that we get to. That one is, it's tedious, that one. It just takes a long time. If you were tight on time in an exam, I'd skip it, put a little cross by it so that you know that you didn't do it, and then come back to it later. Or if it's multiple choice, I would skip it, take a guess, and then come back to it later, because there are probably other questions that will be that you can do more systematically, and then just be sure that you're getting the right answer quickly. I'm going to go through the last 2 questions. I'm on my own here, pupils are gone. We didn't quite have time to finish this paper before my next class. The class was very spur of the moment, so we hadn't scheduled a big chunk of time, and I had to rush through this, and actually it ended up missing out something because I was rushing so much. So I wanted to go through the last couple of questions to explain them in full. Okay, number 19. How many 3-digit numbers contain at least 2 sevens? So a 3-digit number will be anything over 100 and under 1,000. This question, we need to be systematic from the start and make notes. That's where I went wrong the first time, so that we don't double count anything, because that's easily done, and we don't miss anything out. So 3-digit numbers that contain at least 2 sevens. So the number 177, where should we write this? 177 contains at least 2 sevens. 277, 377, and so on. So how many of those numbers ending with 77 will we have? We'll have 177, 277, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So up to 977. So that's 9 numbers that we will have with 77 at the end. Now, remember, that includes 777, which I'm going to include later, or it's going to come up later. So we need to make sure that we factor that into our calculations. Next, let's think about numbers in the 700s. So 707 will have 2 sevens, 717, 727, and so on. But if we keep going like this, 777 is going to be included, so I'm not going to include that. So how many of those do we have? We have 707, 717, 727, 3, 4, 5, 6, skip 777, 8, 9. So now we have 9 numbers in the 700s that include 2 sevens. And then finally, we need to think about the 770s. So 777 won't have been included yet, 771, and so on. And again, we need to exclude 777. So 770, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, leave out 77, 78, 79. We have another 9. And then we just add up these numbers. So the answer should be 27. So the key with this is making a note of the types of number that you've already included and then writing how many of those numbers you have. What you don't want to do is keep too much in your head, so you remember the 9 and then you keep counting, because going between all of those numbers is going to get really confusing. And also, it was helpful just to write which number I needed to exclude so that I didn't forget. Okay, now finally, number 20. This is another one that's a little bit trial and error, but we're going to look for some clues that will help us to be somewhat systematic here. So we want to be able to get things down on paper, and so we're not just trying out every single number and seeing if it works. Okay, Alison has a large number of coloured pencils. When the pencils are divided between 2 of her friends, there is 1 pencil left over. I'm going to do this. Divided by 2 equals something, remainder 1. Okay, if they are divided between 3 of her friends, there are 2 left over. So divide by 3 equals something, remainder 2. Between 4 friends, there are 3 left over. 5 friends, there are 4 left over. And between 6 friends, there are 5 left over. Now, let's look at these number sentences to see if I can rule out any numbers. Starting with divided by 2, and then we get a remainder 1. Well, if we divide by 2 and we get a remainder, then the number must be odd. So we need an odd number for our answer. There aren't too many clues with divide by 3 and divide by 4, just because a lot of numbers can divide by 3 and have a remainder of 2. So I'm going to skip those. 5, dividing by 5 with a remainder of 4. That's important. We know that numbers that divide by 5 with no remainder must end with 0 or 5. All numbers that are divisible by 5 end with 0 or 5. If there's a remainder of 4, then the number that we're looking for must end with either 4, because we add 4 to the 0, or 9, because we add 4 to the 5. So we're looking for an odd number that ends in 4 or 9. But hang on, no odd numbers end in 4, because that would make it an even number. So now I know, let's get rid of that. Now I know we're looking for an odd number that ends in 9. So let's have a look through these. Now, if the number divides by 6 and remainder of 5, I'm starting, by the way, deliberately with the biggest number here. Divides by 6, remainder of 5, the smallest it could be is 11, but we know that doesn't work because we need it to end in 9. So I'll go up to 19. Now we're into trial and error. So 19, if we divide by 6, we get 3, remainder 1. Doesn't work. 29, divide by 6, we get 4, remainder 5. Okay, that works. So let's try it with some others. We know it works for divide by 5 because that's how we got the 9 in the first place. And we're trying out 29. So 29 divided by 4, I'll write it in just so I'm not visualizing too much. 29 divided by 4 is 7, and we don't get remainder 2. Sorry, remainder 3. So 29 doesn't work. So you have to go back to the drawing board here. We do 39. 39 divided by 6 has a remainder of 3, doesn't work. 49 divided by 6, 49, you have a remainder of 1, doesn't work. 59. 59, when you divide by 6, you get 9, remainder 5. Okay, so 59 might work. We know already that it works with divide by 5. Let's try it with divide by 4. 59 divided by 4. I'm going to do it over to the side because I don't want to make any mistakes. 4. And we get remainder 3. So it works with divide by 4. Divide by 3. 59 divide by 3 is 19, remainder 2. Okay, so the dividing by 3 works, remainder 2, and we already know it divides by 2 with a remainder of 1 because it's an odd number. So there you go, 59 is our answer for that one. That one is hard, like I said. So before starting with this, have a look through the number sentences to see where you can get some clues, and then use that to narrow down your numbers. Had we just tried every number up to 59, we would have been here for ages. But obviously this is the hardest question in the exam because it's the last question. So this exam was formatted so that the questions got harder as it went along. Not every exam is formatted like that though. So with it being the last question, with it being time consuming, if you're not sure of a quick way to do a question like this, then maybe use some of that time to check some of your other answers. Go back to a slightly easier question to get those marks, because there's no point spending 10 minutes to try and get this 1 mark when you could maybe get 4 marks in some of the easier questions. If you do have time though, then go through this in the exam. Make sure you write as much as possible down on paper, because that's just going to help you to organize your thoughts. Okay, that's it from me today, and I'll hopefully see you in the next video. We're planning on doing another Manchester Grammar paper next week. Okay, bye. If you've enjoyed today's video, don't forget to like this video and to subscribe to be told as soon as new videos are uploaded to this channel. You can also visit kunlearning.com to find out more about our services, including online classes.